Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we're going to be talking about Ripple and XRP. So let's just dive in and let's talk about a few things. So first off, we're going to be starting with this chart from Blockchain Backer. If you guys don't know who Blockchain Backer is, I highly advise you go check out his YouTube channel as well as his Twitter at BCBacker. But we're going to be starting with this chart. We're going to be talking about the overall decline of the Dow Jones, the Great Depression, if you will, the collapse of it. And we're going to also be talking about $250 trillion, the big giant in the room, the $250 trillion flood, if you will, for XRP. We're going to be going in depth on that, but there's going to be a lot to discuss. So first off, let's talk about this chart. So Blockchain Backer is saying, I believe the Dow Jones Industrial Average has popped, that the long bear market or Great Depression for the DJI has begun. Many have built careers over the last decade proclaiming the Great Depression was upon us, only for the DJI to rip up 400+% while they cried wolf. Now here we have this chart. Now I know that this kind of looks comical, saying, all right, let's just go on to a massive multi-year bear market all the way down to about like 4,000, 5,000 or so. But we do see, I'm going to build a case as to why the 30+ year bear market for the DJI has begun using charts. I'll leave it for the experts to decipher trade calls, central bank planning, currency debasement, geopolitical, wars, commodity shortages, etc., etc. But here, I'm just using charts. And it really kind of goes into depth on this. I'm not going to sit here and kind of go over everything in depth, but it looks very interesting. A lot of people have been asking me, do you think that the Dow Jones has popped? Do you think that we are about to see a massive we're talking about multiples of years of a bear market, not just like, 4 or 5. No, this is like going back to the 1930s. And here we have a retrace bounce. Sounds logical rather than an utter collapse like the 1930s. And here you guys have that retracement, bounce all the way down to about 4,000 on the Dow Jones. And this is going back to levels all the way back to the 1990s. And, this is going to be a massive span of a bear market. A lot of people will question this. A lot of people will say, no way, absolutely no way is this going to happen. I know that this sounds pretty crazy and it is scary. And a lot of people ask me, what do you think of crypto during this time? Well, crypto will essentially take its place. In my opinion, I do believe that crypto is the future. I also think that crypto is the future in regards to like the stock exchange. We talked about tokenizing the stock exchange, stuff like that. I think a lot of this money is going to pour into crypto. Argue it enough. If you want to be biased, you could argue that it's going to go into one specific asset, but I think that that's illogical. I think that crypto is going to balloon to multiples of trillions of dollars in market cap going into the next major cycle, but also in the long term here. We've also discussed this quite a bit with, 2030 being, a possible $100 trillion market cap for crypto. Could it move that fast? I mean, we've added $1 trillion in one singular quarter back in 2021. So yeah, it is possible. It all depends on how much money is going to flood in. But I thought that this was interesting. Let me know what you guys think about this down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Also, I believe that Blockchain Backer will have a full-on video on this. I highly advise all of you to go check it out. It is a great insight. Backer has been great in regards to TA for a while, and I think that everyone would benefit going and learning a lot from his videos. But also, I want to share with you guys the token 2049. We talked about this with Hedera. I think that we're going to be talking about, the Hedera 2049 idea as well. Singapore this week. Catch Brooks Entwistle panel discussion on how new financial rails are disrupting legacy infrastructure in the swing by our booth. P32, learn about all things crypto payments and more. And talking about disrupting these legacy infrastructure rails or these financial rails. Yeah, it leads me to this. This is sponsored by Bank of America, and I'm sure that a lot of you probably already know that Bank of America is a confirmed partner of Ripple's. They still are on Ripple's website, which is interesting because they did move MoneyGram off, which tells me that Bank of America is still utilizing Ripple technology. But we do see the $250 trillion cross-border payments opportunity. By 2027, the value of cross-border payments could hit $250 trillion, but growth opportunity in new markets also comes with challenges. And they are talking about cross-border payments issues. Lower payment cost, enabling, netting of overall FX exposures, aggregating and making available trapped cash. All of this playing right into what Ripple is doing with XRP. And I'm sure that a lot of you probably are aware of this graphic. I did talk about this slightly. But they are talking about, trapped capital, aka the Nosho Vasho accounts. This is a $250 trillion ballooned market from $156 trillion as of now. And this is a huge opportunity. In fact, this is a massive opportunity, and I think that even the World Economic Forum also sees this as well. For an example, down here, potential for privately created digital assets to facilitate CBDCs. Now, this is going to be talking about the bridge currency, the major bridge between cross-border payments. And here you guys have existing private sector blockchain-based digital assets could potentially assist in the facilitation of cross-border wholesale interbank CBDC payments and transactions. Examples include the utility settlement coin, USC, and XRP digital assets. Such assets may serve as a bridge currency in cross-border interbank payments. Before experimenting with such digital assets, though, policymakers should have a clear understanding of the value add they could provide from economic and technical perspectives, considering both pre-existing or alternative solutions and limitations or downsides. Now, to me, this tells me that the go live for XRP to be a bridge currency, to truly be utilized on a daily basis at massive amounts of volumes, we need clear policy. We need clear regulations to be ushered in, and I think that that's going to be the big, the big go live button, being hit is just regulations. But this also tells me that, listen, the World Economic Forum understands XRP's, value here and the potential behind it in regards to digital assets. The utility here is massive as well. But also, this was just one of many things that really kind of eyed the $250 trillion asset class. Also, with, iRemit, we recently talked about iRemit. Why am I bringing this back up? Well, cross-border payments are being fully disrupted from Ripple. All of these on-demand liquidity corridors play a vital role in Ripple achieving its goal of going after the massive $250 trillion, cross-border payment market, and essentially being very successful in underpinning and essentially complementing what Swift has already kind of built. And what do I mean by that? Well, at some point in time, I think that Ripple's going to get too big to ignore around, on-demand liquidity corridors. And I think that's going to usurp a ton of value and volume from Swift. When that happens, when it gets too big to ignore, which I do believe that it's going to happen within the next give or take 5 to 10 years, that's going to be when Swift has to, and it could happen sooner, by the way. I know that a lot of people are going to think about that time frame, and they're going to be like, there's no way. It could easily happen within the next 3 to 5 years. I've always said that 3 to 5 year span is like a sweet spot for, technology. Remember, technology is moving very fast, faster than ever, actually. So, to me, yeah, it could happen a lot quicker than most expect, but the end goal here is to have Swift essentially utilize XRP as well for on-demand liquidity between all 11,000 plus financial institutions and banks that are assigned to Swift, which are transacting trillions of dollars on a daily basis. But we won't achieve that unless XRP is at a higher price. Why? What does a higher price XRP mean? Well, it means there's a lot more liquidity there, and there's going to be less XRP needed for each transaction that's worth, say for so billions to trillions of dollars. So ultimately, a higher price XRP means that they can go after higher value payment markets as well as higher value transactions. Now, on-demand liquidity, right? So iRemit is a massive name, but this is just one of many on-demand liquidity corridors and projects that are working with Ripple. On-demand liquidity is huge. We've actually talked about even the SBI CEO talking about how every bank in Japan will use Ripple's XRP by 2025. Remember that 3 to 5 year time frame. This would be 3 years from now. One of the more exciting points Kateo made is that he thinks Bitcoin is still searching for a use case, whereas XRP already has utility as a tool for making faster and cheaper cross-border payments. And yes, as we look at this lawsuit, I think that this lawsuit is the biggest barrier to success for XRP. I think that once we do see, regulations ushered in, like I said, it's going to be the go live button. That's going to be the go live massive catalyst event around XRP. And I think at that point in time, XRP is going to be very well positioned to be a cross-border absolute giant. The phoenix will rise from the ashes, if you will. And I think that XRP is going to be utilized by many. In fact, the percentage globally could be pretty substantial. Maybe 1/4, for an example, because that's how much XRP has accounted for on-demand liquidity volume on Ripple. It's 1/4, about 25% of all value being transacted over Ripple. It's pretty substantial. I think it's in some sort of billion-dollar mark or so. I know that's not much, but it is a good starting point. But also, I share with you guys cross-border payments on Ripple. I'm sure that all of you know, but we do see here the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit could be finalized in November 2022, but no later than March of 2023. Happy ending. And yes, this is a great time frame. 2023 looks very, very bullish. We've talked about 2023 being a very good, year for crypto. But we do see our cross-border payments settlement in seconds, not days. And here you guys have cross-border payments and how it works with Ripple. Obviously, I'm sure that a lot of you are probably all aware of this. This is big, okay? This is really big because there's no other major, how should I put it? There's no other major innovation like on-demand liquidity out there. That's why I always bring up on-demand liquidity. Like, a lot of people think like, oh, you know about XRP and you've been, in XRP for so long, but the only argument case for XRP being a high value is on-demand liquidity. Well, no, not necessarily. It's just on-demand liquidity is the big money. Like, that's the big money plays because guess what? Globally, we are running into a liquidity crisis. I mean, have you guys seen some of the major economic viewpoints around the world? I mean, things are collapsing. Things are melting down. That's why I do think that going back to the initial tweet here, the Dow Jones basically collapsing, it's 100% realistic. I mean, everything is playing into a massive monetary collapse. But also, like, when we look at on-demand liquidity, like, it's solving not only the issue of cross-border payments, it's also solving the global liquidity problem. It's unlocking $27 trillion locked up in Vasho accounts, which plays perfectly into the available trapped cash area. Like, all of the key points here, they're hitting the nail on the head with Ripple, with XRP, with the on-demand liquidity mechanism. And I love to see this sponsored by Bank of America because Bank of America is still a massive partnership with Ripple. Like, they are a huge partnership leader around Ripple. And also, I share with you guys one last thing here. And shout out to the light shines in the darkness. Central Bank of Bahrain sees a lot of utility for XRP. And here you guys have this property of Sharia review. And then over here we do see report about cryptos. XRP is also used to provide on-demand liquidity for Ripple's flagship RippleNet service, a global payments network of financial institutions that was originally 3 separate products prior to 2019, XCurrent, XRapid, and XVIA. Other use cases of XRP: Forex, escrow, real-time gross settlement, payment for digital goods, and other near-instantly products and services. P2P purchases, central bank IOUs, decentralized exchange, online voting. Like, there is so much in regards to the use case around XRP. Like, this is why I say, like, although, yeah, we focus on on-demand liquidity, like, we talk about on-demand liquidity, but, like, even these other ones, like the FX markets, $6.6 trillion a day. That's huge. I mean, it's bigger than the cross-border payment market, but we know for certain that they are going after the cross-border payment market. Like, this is what could gauge the success of XRP. Like, we could go off of these values and we can kind of calculate, the risk to reward ratio on XRP long term and really kind of where XRP could go. I mean, like 1% of this market, for an example, would be astronomical for XRP's value as well as, the upside potential in terms of an investment vehicle. But again, I don't get caught up in the what ifs, the what, can happen, what could happen, whatever, but I get caught up in the value proposition here. And the value proposition here is the fact that once a settlement does happen, okay, it's end game. The go live button has been hit, and XRP is going to spread like a wildfire around a lot of financial institutions, banking clients. I mean, you are going to see XRP everywhere, and I'm very excited for those days to come. And with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on if you guys want more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As it's up to you all, have a beautiful day, beautiful night, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.